Welcome to another episode of the Advice First podcast. This is your host, Robert Clark. Today, I'm joined by a fantastic guest we've actually had on the podcast before, although it hasn't been our main guest. And so I'm really excited to tap into what Mr. Wachtel has to share with us. As a one-on-one Advice First podcast special, we have none other than Mr. Fred Wachtel. Welcome to the Advice First podcast. Fred, how are you?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here, and it's nice that no one's here to make little jokes about me, and it'll be fun. You know, this will be very professional.
We
today.
kicked everybody else out of the studio just for this. Fred, you know, I know we've probably mentioned it on those past episodes, but tell our listeners a little bit about who you are and what you do.
All right, I'm a financial advisor with Prosperitas here in Valencia, California. And what I do is I help people figure out their long-term goals and then put plans together to get them to those goals. And that's pretty much the nutshell. I mean, there's a lot of work involved, but in a nutshell, I help people figure it out.
That's the simplistic version. Absolutely. How did you, what led you to become a financial advisor?
It was court ordered after I did a couple of... Now, back in the day when I was a kid, my dad was a stockbroker in New York. And I've always watched when he was doing his stuff thinking, oh, this is cool. But it never really stuck with me. You know, kids don't want to do what their father said. But growing up in New York, all my friends worked on Wall Street. They all graduated college and got jobs at different firms. And I took a different route, but back in 2005, I had an opportunity with a large firm and decided to give it a shot, and I love it. So it was a really good move, and but that's how I got into it, was just deciding to do it.
Yeah. And back in 2005, were you still on the East Coast?
No, I was here in California,
okay,
in Santa Clarita.
Got it. But growing up, you were on the East Coast, correct?
Yeah, I left New York in '96, so I was 26 years old.
Wow, that's
so
incredible.
True New Yorker all the way through, and but I've been here a long time. You know, I think a few more years, it's going to be 50-50 on that.
On what?
Well, 26 years in New York, and
wow.
So I'm not rushing it though. You know.
Gosh, I thought you were like 38.
Most people do.
So you swore you wouldn't go into your dad's business or same industry, and yet here you are. Why do you think that is? What do you enjoy about being a financial advisor?
Well, it's not that I swore not to get into it, but back then it was a different industry. So back then there were no financial advisors. There were stockbrokers. And the way they made money was to call someone and say, hey, buy this stock, buy this stock, buy this stock, sell this stock, sell this stock. So it was transactional, buy, sell. And my dad was good at it. He was a good broker. But when I met other people in this industry, it wasn't about doing what's best for people. It was about generating commission. And I learned a lot of tricks that people taught me over the years just to get people to buy into it and buy into what you're saying. And it wasn't my thing. I don't want to do tricks. I want to say when I was 18, I had a company call me up, and they're like, we'd love to interview you and have you work as a telemarketer. And it was for, let's just call it final expense.
Got it. Yep. Insurance policies.
And so they played a recording for me of all these people that they were talking to. And these people sounded scared and nervous, and the salesmen were pushy. And I said, man, how can you do that to these seniors? That's messed up. And that's how I always felt the industry was up until, I want to say maybe 2003, 2004, you know, just knowing about it. It started to change into more advisory services. It's not commission-based anymore. You don't make money trading everybody in and out of stuff. Mm-hmm. You make money by doing the right thing and keeping your clients a long time. And I was able to put together a nice portfolio for myself that I use for people, and it's worked out.
Wow, that's phenomenal. And so now you've been doing it 16 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
Seems like yesterday, though. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow, that's phenomenal. What do you think? I love what you said about people being, more salespeople than advisors back in the day. I mean, frankly, that's the whole reason the Advice First podcast exists, is because there's so many people out there still pushing things that only incentivize or benefit the salesperson and not really the client. So it's a message I absolutely love. But how have you made sure to kind of live in your own advice first mentality when you're serving clients?
What do I do to make sure I'm doing the best thing for them?
Exactly.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Well, for starters, I'm licensed with everything. I got my securities license. I got my insurance license. I can sell anybody anything I want. If you are just sitting there with insurance license, all you can sell are insurance products. And if you don't have your insurance license, all you can sell are securities. So being able to sell anything I want to sell, I'm able to put together portfolios where I can say, you know what, maybe this insurance product is the right thing for you, and maybe these securities are a little too risky for you, or vice versa. You're young, you got time, you really shouldn't be in these insurance products, you should be in these securities. I've seen a lot of times where people go to, let's just say, an insurance agent that doesn't have their securities license, and all they're going to offer are different kinds of fixed annuities. And whether they're appropriate or not, that's all they can offer, and that's all they're going to offer. So I really am able to just offer my clients anything. So I can put together the right plan after hearing what the real goals are. You
have a very famous video relating to a somewhat similar topic about an investment triangle. Is that something you can share here on the podcast about the idea behind what is the investment triangle and how clients can use it for their own kind of thoughts or risk appetite?
Well, maybe put something on there to direct people to it, because it'll be, there's a triangle. But it, again, a friend of mine is a contractor, and it's the triangle that shows, you pick 2 out of 3. You got price, you got speed, and you got quality. And if you really think about it, you can only pick 2 of those things. If you want something cheap, you're not going to get the speed and quality. If you say, I want it fast and cheap, say goodbye to quality.
Right.
I want it fast and great quality, say bye to the price. I mean, these things are, and the same thing in my business is, if you want safety, if you want growth, if you want liquidity, you can't have it all. So if you want your money liquid, where you can get to it every day, and I want my money now, then you're not going to have growth. You're not going to have any kind of return. It's called a money market. It's pretty much what it is. What are you going to get? 0.1?
Right.
Way to go. You got your growth. You got your liquidity. You got your safety. FDIC insured. You're golden. But same thing with if you want liquidity and you want growth, then there's investments for that. But you're not going to have that safety. And same thing, if you want safety and you want growth, I got that, but your liquidity's gone. So you have to figure out what's best for you. But it's a simple concept, but it's true. You can't have all 3. You can't have safety, liquidity, and growth.
Well said. I mean, I can see why that video went somewhat viral. And you did an outstanding, I didn't even arm you with that question. I just made you pull it out, and you did phenomenal with describing it over audio only. So we'll make sure to link to the full video in the show notes so you can know where to find it.
I did tell my wife when she was looking at it, she goes like, oh, you got like 1,000 views on this thing. And I was like, did I go viral? And she let me know I did not go viral.
I don't know. I think it's all relative. It's like, what was the performance of the last video? If the last video was 3 views and you got 1,000 on the next one. There's some viral theme going on there.
Oh, I feel good about that.
You should, as you should. So I love the idea of the investment triangle. I know so many others do. But in working with your clients, what do you think a client's greatest challenge is when it comes to their financial well-being?
So, I mean, when I look at my clients that I've had for a while, and I'm not talking about, prospective clients that don't have somebody.
Right.
I mean, I've been working with my clients back from 2005 when I got into this business. And one of the greatest challenges was, first of all, we went through the Great Recession, and having them listen to me and making them not sell, not get out when things went down, because things went down quickly.
Yeah.
Just getting them to trust me and stay in the market not only was a big challenge, but it was in their benefit so much. Every time I talk to somebody that says, oh, financial advisors, oh, the markets, it's a ripoff. I lost half my money in 2008. And I'll always ask, well, did your financial advisor tell you to sell? No, I didn't have an advisor. I just sold because it was scary. Well, that's the problem is when things are good, I'm a financial advisor. It's easy. I show people good numbers. When things are bad and it's scary out there, I'm more of a psychologist, and it's convincing people to trust history, trust the markets. And so recently with this COVID a year ago, right around a year ago today, maybe a couple of weeks, I mean, I've never seen ups and downs of 2,000 points here or there. It was very, very scary. But when I called my clients to say, listen, like they didn't call me saying, what's going on? I called them to say, hey, Mr. Jones, it's Fred over at Prosperitas. I just want to see how you're doing with all of this. And just, are you calm? Is there anything I can do? And a lot of them were just literally, no, I'm good. I mean, you're good? I'm like, I'm good. Mm-hmm. They're like, well, if you're good, I'm good. I'm like, okay. So they've been through it. But I think that's the hardest part for clients is to get them to not be fearful of what the world is doing and just focus on sticking to the goals. If you stick with your goals and you stick with the plan to get you to your goals, you'll be fine. If you jump out and take things into your own hands and panic, that's when things go wrong. And so I would say the hardest part is just wrapping people's heads around the fear that's out there and getting them to accept that it's not always going to go up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, they say buy low, sell high, right? And what most people would agree with that statement, but when it comes to actually putting it into practice, even just mentally, they're thinking, when things are high, they're what? They're wanting to buy more. And when things are low, they're like, oh, get me out of this. And so it's just, we're programmed to do the opposite of what the statement we'd even agree with.
Well, a long time ago during the Great Recession, and I'm just using this as an example. I definitely use this company, but I don't know what the price was back then. So I'm just saying the price is not right here. I was talking to someone about it, and we were like down in the doldrums of this thing, but we were just about to come back. Probably about, I think yesterday was the anniversary actually of, we call it the Haynes bottom. But March 9th, 2009 was kind of like the day that everything just took that final crap. And then things started to go up. But as they started to go up, I was talking to a client, and we were just joking around. And I said, you know what? You go to the store and you buy a can of tuna for $3. And then you go the next day and it's like tuna's on sale, $1 a can. So you load up, you buy 5, 10 cans. IBM, as an example, I think around the time they were there at their highs back in that time was about 180, and then they dropped down to like 80, 90, somewhere in there. Yeah. And I told them I could put a sign in front of my window right now that says IBM 2 for 1, and no one's going to buy it. But when that price gets higher than what it was, everyone's going to be banging on my door. People want to buy stock when it's high, when you look at Warren Buffett and what these guys say is, look, it's cyclical. Things are going to come back. It's a buying opportunity. You buy when people are fearful, and you sell when everybody's
getting in,
going crazy.
I mean, why do you think that is?
It's fear straight up. I'll tell you for myself, it's taken a long time. I look at things and I sit there and I'm about to press the button. And I'm saying, man, I got to get out of this thing. And it is, it's fear. I get the fear too, but I have to convince myself, like I convince my clients, that look at history, look at what these things have done, and be smart, stick with the plan. It's a long-term goal. I'm not buying GameStop at $4.50 because Robinhood people are going crazy on it. We don't do that kind of stuff. We're in it for the long haul. It's diversified portfolios and whatever it takes to hit the goals. It's not about short-term stuff, but it's still scary.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I feel that fear too, which makes it easy for me to, I guess when I talk to my clients, maybe I explain to them, hey, I'm scared too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But let's be smart about this.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, what would you say your kind of best traits are, or your specialties are as a financial advisor?
And just being calm and sticking to what I believe in, which is, again, diversification, looking at what the needs are. If it's certain types of insurance, being able to go in that direction. Pretty much just listening and focusing on the goal rather than focusing on, well, this is what I want to put you in. I've known advisors, and I'm going to say this now, 99% of the advisors I met out there are solid, great advisors. They're all good people. Some of my best friends are advisors. But in every group of everything, there's other people. Mm-hmm. And they just tell you, hey, put you in this. And it doesn't bring you to a goal. It just gives them a commission or it gives them some kind of a payout. I stick with just tell me what your goal is, and I will tell you what we should invest in to get you to that goal. It's not that everyone's goal is different. I mean, most of us are pretty similar. We want to get to a point and be financially secure. But it depends on how much money you have and how much risk you're willing to take. And if you're not willing to take any risk, again, there's investments out there. Again, you got to be able to sleep at night. So it might not be the best investment for your age, but it might be the best investment for your brain. So,
wow. I would say drop the mic, but don't literally drop that mic.
This thing is set up pretty good. I don't want to mess it up.
Yeah. There's so much truth to that. I mean, how do you think a client would be able to tell the difference between someone who is really, suggesting their next move for the advisor's benefit versus the client? Like, if I was a client and meeting with two financial advisors, one is out for their own good and one is out for my good, how do I tell the difference between the two when they're both probably going to say some pretty sexy things about, growing and investing in these companies and that portfolio? I mean, how can clients tell the difference?
You know what? I go with the attitude of show me. And when I have clients in my office and I explain these things to them and they want to know more about it or why I believe in it so much, I pop my portfolio up, my personal portfolio. I show them, here's what I'm invested in. I'll show them all the dumb stuff that I do. I like to play. I'm a gambler, but it's a very small amount of money. But the lion's share of my money is in a portfolio that I believe in that's done fantastic over time. And I will show them that. I will say, look, here are the funds I'm in. These are the funds I'm showing you. These are the funds I'm in. You don't have to be in them all, but I'm just showing you that I believe in them. So I would tell anybody out there, just say, you're sitting in front of someone and they sell you the magic beans and you're sitting there and just say, all right, sounds good. Show me your portfolio.
I love that.
Simple.
That is solid. That's really solid. Great piece of advice for you to take away, as for you listening to take away. Next time you're talking to someone about some financial products or services, have them to show you. Fred, we've talked a lot about business, and I know as much as you love financial markets, you could probably talk about it all day. Sometimes people just want to know the advisor that they're working with, or who's kind of behind the desk of managing their plan. What do you do for fun?
For fun? Well, I used to do a lot of things, a lot of bad things. Drink, gamble. But then in 2012, I had a little girl, and 90% of the things that I love to do are with her. Yeah. Whether it's her piano or, COVID's really messed things up. You can't go and do things, or if it's one or my wife goes or I go, you can't have everybody go anymore. But sitting with her, sometimes she'll just walk over and sit on me, lay on me, grab her iPad, do something, and I'll just stare at the ceiling. I'm just happy that she's there.
That's awesome.
But aside from that, I like to golf. I like to work out. It was raining today. Yeah. I like to drive recklessly in the rain with my truck. That's more of a New York thing. We learned how to drive in snow, where in California it's a little more difficult. Driving in the rain is like driving in the snow back there. So, I like to play poker and hang out with friends and just do normal guy stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so you brought up a great point of the difference between driving in New York versus driving in California. I'm sure that change just in general had quite a few differences between the two.
My first rainstorm in California was 2000. I'm sorry, it was like 90. In the beginning of 98, it was an El Nino year, and there were a lot of mudslides and stuff on the 405. It was a nightmare. I'd never seen anything like it. But I'll never forget my first day driving home. We're coming down through the Sepulveda Pass, and I see a car like way down, and I see the rooster tails come off the tires, and I'm just like, whoa, big puddle. But then I saw the brake lights hit, and I said, what is that guy doing? Now I have to hit my brakes. And I was like, I've never seen anybody jam on their brakes in the middle of a puddle, in the middle of a hydroplane, just roll through it.
Right.
And so that's when I learned just stay as far away from other people as possible.
That's the LA way. That's how you drive, is you keep your distance and you just stay away from other people.
Well, the smart ones. The other ones like to tailgate and
yeah.
But I have a truck, so you could tailgate all day. I won't see you.
How long did it take you to wear sandals once you moved to California?
Well, sandals. Well, no, okay. So I had a thing about flip-flops.
Yep.
I didn't like that thing between my toes. It really drove me nuts. So I bought some sandals, and I used to wear my socks with them. And one day my wife pointed somebody out and said, that's what you look like. And so then I stopped wearing socks with my sandals, and I bought a pair of regular flip-flops and just spent the day walking with them. And fast forward like 10 years, I was talking to some of my friends at a poker game, and I said, you Californians, and one of them looked under the table and just goes, nah, he's wearing flip-flops. And it became the joke that I'm a Californian now and time to accept it. It took me a couple of years before I put on that first flip-flop and enjoyed it.
That's awesome. That is such a good story. You mentioned doing a lot of, guys things. You like driving, you like poker. You follow sports. Do you have a favorite sports team?
I do. I'm all New York still. So I'm a great big Giants fan. New York Giants. They make me sad, but I love them more than anything. Great team. I'm a Yankee fan, and Dodger fans shouldn't get upset with that. Different division, but Yankee fan. We've had Steinbrenner for decades that overpaid, and we appreciate. Yankee fans appreciate that. Other Boston, who cares? Rangers and Knicks, and for what it's worth, the Knicks have made every New Yorker sad for a very long time.
Yes, absolutely. You said the Giants have been making you sad. That doesn't sound right. They, second in the NFC East last year?
Yeah, anybody could have been second in the NFC East last year. It was one of those years where everybody starts talking about, oh, maybe we should change the divisions and the rules. But, I remember they said the same thing about the Rams for a while there. Like, how can a team with a losing record have a shot at
Mm-hmm.
So it is what it is. Enjoy. The NFC East is our division. California, stay out of that.
That's right. Amen. If you could, and I mentioned I had a surprise question, so here it is. If you could have a meal with one professional athlete, who would it be?
With one professional athlete? I mean, there's so many great ones just to hang out with Jordan and gamble with him. There's so many great ones, but if throughout the years, one of my favorite Giants has always been Mark Bavaro, and he's been, I remember back in the day, he doesn't talk, he doesn't do anything, he just goes and plays and does his thing, and that's it. He leaves it on the field. You have a question about him, watch the game, kind of how I am. I'm pretty sure we'd have a nice quiet meal, but it would be fun.
Yep. I could absolutely see the similarities between you two, 100%.
So Mark Bavaro, if you are in California, give me a call.
Mark, if you're listening to this podcast, please ring in. Actually, it's a perfect time. Fred, how can our listeners find you?
My email is fred@prosperitasfin.com. Also, you can go to prosperitasfin.com and punch up the About Us area and look at me, and you could look at everybody in the company. It's a fantastic company with great people. And I give my clients my cell phone. I don't have an office number. I hate answering that office phone. Every time I answer it, it's somebody trying to sell me a car warranty or something. So if somebody's interested in reaching me, just call my cell, 310-502-2752.
Cool. You might have a fellow Giants fan or a Redskins fan. Who knows?
It's surprising that a lot of my clients are actually Giants fans. And during the season, sometimes I forget, and I'll start talking to someone. They're like, so what do you think about our boys? And I'm like, oh, that's right. It's amazing how many Giants fans are out here, and we gravitate toward each other. It's like some weird magnetic pull that nobody really knows how it happens, but
absolutely, the good old NFC East. Look at that. Fred, it's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast today. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you wanted to share with us?
No, I think this was fantastic, and again, it's a great podcast. And if there's anything I could do to help anybody, I'm here. And even if it's not anything I can do, I've been in this community a very long time, and I have a lot of contacts in a lot of industries that are great people that can help. Also, since we're here, I'm just going to plug real quick, Family Promise. It's a charity that I'm on the board, and it's a great organization here in Santa Clarita. They help homeless families here in Santa Clarita. And if anybody wants to know more of how they can help, I'd be more than happy to entertain any emails or phone calls.
I love that. Fred, you exemplify the advice first mindset, and that's why I was so excited to have you on the show today. And we look forward to you being a third wheel on many future episodes as well. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Next Financial Group, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Prosperitas Financial is not an affiliate of Next Financial Group, Inc. This material is not intended as an offer or solicitation for the purchase of sale of any security or other financial instrument. Past performance does not guarantee future performance. All the views expressed are those of Robert Clark and Prosperitas Financial and not of those of Next Financial Group, Inc. Next does not offer tax or legal advice. The S&P 500 is a market cap weighted index composed of common stocks of 500 leading companies in the leading industries of the U.S. economy. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is a price weighted index of 30 actively traded blue chip stocks.